When you tell a police officer you have a fake job, it's probably best to at least know something about that fake job, right? Fox News reports that a 44-year-old man from Kissimmee, Florida, named David Proudfoot, stole an R2-D2 droid worth up to $10,000 because he wanted to show weaknesses in Walt Disney World security in order to help him get a job. Police were called by Disney security to the Swan Reserve Hotel after the R2-D2 went missing from the third floor of the building. Upon arriving, they made contact with Proudfoot, who identified himself as David E. Rogers and claimed to work in the receiving division of the Disney resort. Proudfoot was seen pushing a car and looking suspicious. According to the arrest affidavit, when an officer offered to help him, he was said to have looked confused as to the location of the loading docks or proper procedures of the hotel. Proudfoot told deputies that part of his duties was to move items from one location to another, and that his supervisor's name was James McDaniels. Disney staff said they had no record of a David E. Rogers and said James McDaniels worked for the company but in Burbank, California, not at the Orlando resort. When a deputy escorted Proudfoot to retrieve his belongings from the employee lockers, Proudfoot could not open his purported locker, the affidavit said, and when the deputy asked Proudfoot if he could see his wallet and ID, Proudfoot produced his driver's license showing his real name and address. Proudfoot later admitted to moving the R2-D2 droid because he had an application for Walt Disney World security pending and wanted to show weaknesses in the security of the resorts in the hopes of landing the job. Proudfoot was charged with grand theft and obstruction of information and was taken into custody. Hey, at least Luke Skywalker didn't respond to the call about the missing R2 unit, or this story may have ended a lot differently.
Well, at least this guy had a good reason, I guess? A Russian man set fire to a church because he was tired of his wife donating the family's money to them. Oddity Central reports that the 36-year-old father of four set a fire at the Church of St. Basil the Great in a Russian village that caused considerable damage and would have completely destroyed the building had parishioners not helped to put the blaze out themselves. At first, many believed that the fire was the result of faulty electrical wiring. But it didn't take long for police to find the culprit, a man who decided to take revenge on the church after quarreling with his wife. The man reportedly fought with his wife, who often volunteered at the church, because she kept donating all their money to it. So he put a canister of gasoline in the trunk of his car, drove down to the church, splashed the walls with fuel, and after making sure no one was inside, set it ablaze. Well, at least he's a considerate arsonist. According to reports, the man worked 24/7, and everything he earned, his wife brought to the church. That created a conflict, and the man realized he would have to do either something to his wife or to the church. The man chose the latter, and never denied his guilt in front of the police. He even asked to be detained for his crime, but the judge decided to let him go home until sentencing is passed in his case. It could be because of a lack of a criminal record or because of his 4 children, but at least for now, the scorned arsonist is a free man. And although the fire caused serious damage to the outside of the Church of St. Basil the Great, the interior was largely unaffected by the blaze. No word on whether the man's wife has decided to start a fundraiser for the church or be the biggest contributor to the fundraiser.
This one is probably the case. Looked good on paper, but bad in execution. KIRO 7 News reports that a man was arrested after attempting to shoplift 11 cases of beer from a Safeway store. According to the Seattle Police Department, officers responded to a report of a man walking into a Safeway in Seattle, Washington with his own cart. The incident report did not specify which Safeway. According to the report, the man loaded 11 cases of beer onto his cart and attempted to leave the store. A security guard confronted the man, but the man told the guard if he didn't get by, the guard would be pepper sprayed. The security guard backed off, and the man left the store without paying for the beer. When officers arrived, they found the man across the street attempting to get on a metro bus. That's right, he decided that his getaway vehicle would be a city bus. The man was arrested and booked into county jail for robbery. Excellent preparation skills. He may as well have been out there with his cart of beer hailing a cab.
Yeah, this is probably not the best thing to send to a cop. Today Online reports that a 58-year-old man from Singapore named Lau Kian Tiong emailed a female police officer pictures of his penis, along with an obscene suggestion because he was apparently frustrated that she didn't handle a case involving him several years earlier. Back in 2018, Tiong was asked by the officer to come to police headquarters to be interviewed about another case. Details of that case aren't clear, but apparently the officer was assigned to investigate a case involving voluntary harm. Mr. Tiong claimed that he arrived upon request, but that for some reason the officer didn't attend to him and it left him annoyed. I guess Mr. Tiong had rage festering the whole time, because it wasn't until 3 years later, in May of 2021, that he sent her 2 photos of his private parts to her official Singapore Police Force email address in an attempt to humiliate her. His 2 emails were titled, "Hi, good morning, my dear wife. Please help me oral sex because my penis is really itchy. Thank you so much." Court documents did not reveal why he decided to do this 3 years later, but a few weeks after sending the emails, police officers spotted him loitering and taking photos outside the police office. It was then discovered that a warrant had been issued for his arrest from that previous case 3 years earlier. So the female officer handling the case contacted him to come in for another interview, at which time they confiscated his phone, found those emails, and he confessed. But his sentence was backdated to May of 2022, where he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of sexual exposure and was jailed for 9 weeks.
If you want to see all our videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, click the subscribe button below. I mean, hey, my cat's gotta eat.